A 69-year-old man sat in the chair right across from me, right where you are now. He was a grandfather, a retired carpenter, a man who had built houses with his own two hands. But in my office, those hands were trembling. Not from Parkinson's, not from any disease you could name. They were trembling from a quiet, gnawing shame. He looked me in the eye, and his voice was barely a whisper when he said, "Doctor, I didn't know. For all these years, I thought I was just being a man. I had no idea I was hurting myself." He was talking about something millions of men do in the privacy of their own rooms. Something you've been told is natural, normal, even healthy. But what he had discovered, far too late, was a devastating truth. After the age of 63, the rules change. The act of masturbation itself transforms. And if you don't adapt your approach, if you continue with the habits of your youth, you can unknowingly begin to dismantle your own body, your mind, and your very sense of manhood. For over 25 years, my life's work has been dedicated to the health and vitality of men in their later years. And in that time, I have seen a silent epidemic. An epidemic of confusion, shame, and self-inflicted damage. The enemy here is not the act itself. Let me be perfectly clear about that. The enemy is ignorance. It's the fact that no one, not your father, not your doctor, not society, ever pulls you aside to tell you that your body's operating manual needs an update as you age. The enemy is the dangerous vacuum of information that leaves good men like you to navigate one of the most personal aspects of your health completely in the dark. You are not broken. You are not failing. You have simply been given the wrong map or no map at all for this new territory of your life. And following that old, outdated map is what leads to the damage. It's what leads to men like the carpenter in my office, filled with regret for a harm they never intended. But here is my absolute promise to you today. It is not too late. The damage is not irreversible. The solution is not to stop, to shut down, or to surrender. The solution is to understand. It is to learn the new rules. Your body is not your enemy. It is still capable of pleasure, connection, and health. You just need to learn how to work with it, not against it. And today, I am going to give you the map you were never given. I am going to pull back the curtain on the secrets that can not only prevent this silent damage, but can actually help you reclaim a sense of confidence, vitality, and self-respect you may have thought was gone forever. So, I invite you to take a deep breath. Let go of any shame or judgment you might be holding. We are going to approach this with the maturity and honesty it deserves. In our time together today, we are going to explore, in detail, the 5 critical secrets of self-intimacy that every man over 63 wishes he had known sooner. These are the truths that can preserve your circulation, protect your mind, and fundamentally change the way you age. Secret number 1. Your erection is no longer the whole story. And that is a liberation, not a failure. I remember a man named David, a 72-year-old retired sales executive. He was a man who had built his career and his identity on confidence and performance. He sat in my office, deflated. "Doc," he said, his voice laced with frustration, "I can't perform like I used to. The flag doesn't go all the way up the pole anymore. Does that mean I'm done? Am I no longer a man?" That question breaks my heart every time I hear it, because it is built on a lifetime of cultural lies. The world taught us that manhood equals a rock-hard erection, that performance is everything, that anything less is failure. Here is the fundamental truth I wish I could go back in time and tell every young man. Your erection is a barometer of many things: blood flow, nerve health, hormones, psychology, but it is not, and never has been, the sole measure of your masculinity or your capacity for profound pleasure. As we age, it is completely natural for erections to become less firm, slower to arrive, and less reliable. This is not a sign of disease. It is a sign of maturation. Think of it this way. When you were 20, your sexuality was like a sports car. Fast, responsive, maybe a little reckless. In your 63s and 70s, it becomes more like a classic luxury sedan. It's not about 0 to 60 anymore. It's about the quality of the journey. It requires more warmth, more patience, more intention. The critical distinction that so many men miss is that orgasm and erection are 2 separate neurological events. You can absolutely experience a full, satisfying, and deeply pleasurable release without the kind of rigid erection you had at 25. But because we were never taught this, men like David suffer in silence. They chase the ghost of their 25-year-old selves, and in that desperate chase, they miss the rich, nuanced pleasure that is available to them right now. When you can let go of the pressure of performance, something amazing happens. You open the door to a different kind of intimacy. One based on presence, on sensation, on the full landscape of your body, not just one part of it. For David, this was a revelation. We talked about focusing on the journey, not the destination. On touch, on breath, on sensation. He later told me that this shift in mindset had saved his sense of self. He was no longer failing a test. He was simply exploring his own body with kindness and curiosity, and in that exploration, he found a pleasure that was deeper and more meaningful than what he had been chasing for years. Secret number 2. The act is no longer just sexual. It is a powerful emotional and neurological tool. Let me tell you about Howard. Howard was a 78-year-old retired veteran, a man of few words, stoic and proud. He came to see me not for a physical problem, but for what he called a hollowness. "I don't feel anything anymore, Doc," he said. "Not just sexually. The world just seems gray." As we talked, a pattern emerged. Howard was masturbating almost every night, but it wasn't out of lust or desire. He admitted, after some gentle probing, that he did it when he felt lonely. He did it when he couldn't sleep. He did it when the memories of his late wife became too heavy. He hadn't realized it, but this private act had become his primary and only tool for managing his emotional life. This is a secret of immense importance for men in our age group. Masturbation is not just a physical release. It is a powerful neurochemical event. After orgasm, your brain is flooded with a cocktail of powerful chemicals. Dopamine, which regulates motivation, serotonin, which stabilizes mood, and oxytocin, often called the connection or calm hormone. For a man who was raised to bury his emotions, to be strong and not complain, this private moment can become the only time his nervous system is allowed to truly let go, to find peace, to self-soothe. It becomes a form of survival. The danger is not in the act itself. The danger is in the mindlessness. When it becomes a purely mechanical habit to escape a feeling you haven't named, loneliness, grief, anxiety, it slowly loses its meaning. The ritual remains, but the connection fades. That's the hollowness Howard was feeling. The shift for Howard was to bring intention to the act, to pause beforehand and ask himself, what am I feeling right now? What do I truly need? Sometimes the answer was release, but other times it was connection. On those nights, he would call his son instead, or he would put on music that reminded him of his wife and allow himself to feel the grief. By approaching the act with awareness, it transformed from a mindless escape into a mindful choice. It became a tool for emotional clarity, not just a way to numb the pain. And slowly, the color began to seep back into his world. This is deep work. And if these ideas are striking a chord with you, if they're making you think, I want to encourage you to let me know. Just type the number 1 in the comments below. It's a simple signal that tells me you're still here, still engaged, and that this conversation is valuable. Your feedback truly helps me shape this content for you. And please, stay with me through this next point, because it addresses one of the most common and damaging myths out there. But after that, the final 2 secrets, especially the last one, are where we tie all of this together. The final secret is a mindset shift that can not only protect your health, but can genuinely restore a sense of dignity and power that you may have thought was gone for good. You won't want to miss it. Secret number 3. The use it or lose it rule is real, but it's not about performance. I will never forget the look on Roy's face. He was 69, a widower who, after a decade of quiet grief, had found a new partner. This should have been a joyful time. But when he came to see me, his face was a mask of shame. I found someone wonderful, doctor, he said, his voice cracking. But my body has forgotten how. It doesn't work anymore. I feel like less of a man. What Roy was experiencing wasn't a disease. It was disuse. This is a critical secret every man must understand. Use it or lose it is not a locker room joke. It's a physiological reality. The erectile tissues in your penis are not like the muscles in your arm. They are more like a sponge, composed of smooth muscle and vascular spaces. For these tissues to remain healthy, they need to be regularly filled with oxygenated blood. An erection is what brings that life-giving blood flow into the tissues. When you go for long periods, months, or in Roy's case, years, without any erectile activity, the tissues are starved of oxygen. This can lead to a condition called penile fibrosis, where the elastic, spongy tissue is slowly replaced by rigid, collagen fibers. The tissue literally becomes less elastic, less capable of expanding and holding blood. Nerve endings can dull. The body, in its efficiency, begins to decommission a system that isn't being used. Roy had thought that since he didn't have a partner, his sexual health didn't matter. He let that part of himself go dormant. He didn't realize he was presiding over a slow, structural decline. The tragedy is that this is preventable. Masturbation, in this context, is not just for pleasure. It is essential maintenance. It is a way of ensuring regular blood flow, keeping tissues healthy, and keeping the neural pathways between your brain and your body open and active. The good news for Roy and for you is that it wasn't too late. We worked on a gentle, patient, no-pressure routine of self-stimulation. It wasn't about achieving a perfect erection. It was simply about encouraging blood flow, about reawakening the system. It took time, but slowly, sensation by sensation, his body began to remember. And with that physical reawakening came an even more important return, the return of his confidence. He wasn't broken. He was just out of practice. Secret number 4. Pornography is quietly rewiring your brain for disappointment. Let's talk about Ernest, 68 years old, a widower. He came to me with a confusing problem. I still touch myself, he said, but I feel disconnected. It's like I'm watching myself from across the room. Nothing really reaches me anymore. As we explored his habits, a clear picture formed. For years, his nightly routine had involved watching pornography. He thought of it as a harmless stimulant, a way to get things started. He had no idea it was the very thing robbing him of his ability to feel. This is the hidden danger of porn, especially for the maturing brain. Your brain operates on a chemical reward system, driven primarily by dopamine. Pornography is not a natural stimulus. It is a supernormal stimulus. It provides an intense, rapid-fire flood of dopamine that is far beyond what normal, real-life intimacy can provide. Over time, your brain adapts to this intense level of stimulation. This is called dopamine desensitization. Your brain's reward receptors essentially become numbed. They begin to require more and more intense stimuli to achieve the same effect. Before you know it, the gentle touch of a partner, or even your own hand, feels boring, feels dull. Your imagination, which once was a powerful engine of desire, goes quiet because it can't compete with the high-definition novelty on the screen. Ernest described it perfectly. It's like eating ghost peppers for every meal. After a while, a strawberry just tastes like water. He had trained his brain to respond only to extreme visuals, and in doing so had lost his sensitivity to real, authentic sensation. The path back for him was a dopamine detox. We worked on slowly weaning him off the dependency. It was challenging, but within weeks of focusing only on his own touch, his own breath, his own imagination, something miraculous happened. He started to feel again. The numbness began to recede. His body's natural sensitivity returned. He was stepping away from the screen and coming back into his own skin. It was a journey that saved him from a lifetime of disconnection. Secret number 5. At this age, masturbation can be a lifeline, not a liability. This final secret brings everything together. It's about a man named Walter, 75 years old. At the very end of a routine checkup, he hesitated. He looked down at his hands, then back at me, and with a voice full of embarrassment, he asked, "Doctor, is it still okay for me to do that? At my age?" That question, that simple, shame-filled question, is why I do this work. It encapsulates a lifetime of cultural conditioning that teaches men that their sexuality has an expiration date. That desire in an older man is somehow inappropriate or pathetic. Here is the ultimate truth. the secret I wish I could broadcast to every man over 63. Masturbation, when approached with the awareness we've discussed today, is not a shameful secret or a youthful liability. It is one of the most powerful acts of self-care and self-respect available to you. Think about it. We've seen how it supports prostate health, how it can improve sleep and mood through its neurochemical gifts, how it performs essential maintenance on your circulatory and nervous systems. But beyond all the biology, it does something more important. Keeps you in conversation with your own body. It is a weekly or even daily declaration that you are still here, that you are still a vital, feeling being, that your identity did not retire with your job. When Walter's wife had passed away 6 years prior, he had shut down that part of himself completely. I thought it would be disrespectful to her, he admitted. I didn't think I was allowed to still be that kind of man. In his grief, he had equated his own aliveness with a betrayal. When he finally gave himself permission to reconnect with his own body, gently, without pressure, not chasing youth but simply acknowledging his own presence, his entire demeanor changed over the following months. He slept better. His friends noticed he was smiling more. He wasn't just reclaiming a physical act. He was reclaiming his right to feel. He was reclaiming his identity. He was reclaiming his life. If you have journeyed with me this far, I want to sincerely thank you. Your willingness to face this topic with honesty shows a strength that is rare and admirable. We have walked through 5 hard-earned truths today. That your manhood is not defined by your erection. That self-intimacy is a powerful tool for your emotional and neurological health. That use it or lose it is a real principle of physical maintenance. That the digital world can numb you to real sensation. And most importantly, that this private act can be a profound lifeline to your own vitality and self-worth. So what now? Where do you go from here? My call to action for you today is simple. It is not a physical act. It is a commitment. I want you to commit to approaching this part of your life with awareness instead of mindlessness, with kindness instead of judgment, with patience instead of pressure. Choose just one of the secrets we talked about today, the one that resonated with you the most, and just reflect on it this week. That is your first step. You may not see a change overnight, but if you commit to this path of mindful self-care, I promise you, things will begin to shift. You will start to feel more at home in your own body. You will feel a quiet confidence returning. You will feel more connected, more present, more whole. You will be taking back control from the myths and the silence. If this message has spoken to you, I invite you to become part of this community. Subscribe to the channel and please leave a comment below. Tell me which secret meant the most to you. Your story might be the very thing another man needs to read to feel less alone. Remember this, your story is not over. Your body has not given up on you. Do not give up on it. You are not invisible. You are not finished. You are still the man you have always been, now armed with a new wisdom. The journey from here is not about reclaiming your youth. It's about claiming your age with dignity, with knowledge, and with a profound sense of self-respect. You deserve nothing less.